Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Danish and I'm a medical student. Now today I'm going to be talking about Ramadan and sharing my top tips on how to manage doing exam season whilst fasting. This is actually my fourth year doing this, so I've built a bit of experience over the last 4 years doing exams whilst fasting. So I thought I'd share some of my secrets with you today. Now the way I'm going to do the video is I'm just going to split it into three mini sections. So I'm going to have the first bit about diet, the second bit about sleep, and the last bit about study routine. You can see them all in the timestamps on the time bar, so feel free to check out whichever one suits you. Tip number one is about diet. In Ramadan, you're limited with the amount of food that you can eat in one day because your eating window is shorter than a normal day. So you want to make sure that everything you eat is of good nutritional value. If you're not having foods that are of good nutritional value, you're basically wasting the space in your stomach for junk food, which is not a good idea. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a chocolate bar here and there, but don't be stuffing yourself with greasy food and then having snacks afterwards because it's not going to benefit you during the day. It's going to make studying really hard. Ideally, you want to have foods with a low glycemic index. These are foods that are going to have a slow release of energy throughout the day. So basically, you want to have stuff like oats or whatever. If you just search in Google foods with slow energy release, you'll find a huge list. Try and go for those kinds of foods. They will help you kind of last the whole day so that you can study without any food and without any water and you won't get hungry. So be careful what you eat. Tip number two is about water intake. Now, many of us are having enough food in Ramadan, but we're not having enough water. The best way to get enough water in is to have it at regular intervals throughout the night, rather than doing what most of us do, which is we have a glass of water with iftar, and then when it gets to suhoor, there's about 5 minutes left, and we realize, oh god, I've had no water, and then you grab your bottle and you're trying to chug as much as you can in those last 5 minutes. We've all done that. I do it sometimes, and it just doesn't work. Save yourself the effort and just have a bottle of water with you. Try and have, regular sips throughout the night. If you're sleeping throughout the night, then try to factor it in for the time that you're sleeping. What I think works for me is having 1 glass of water for every hour of the night, from iftar all the way up until suhoor. At the moment, that's approximately 8 hours, so I'm having a decent amount, 8 glasses of water basically, and it's much easier than having it all at once. Spread it out through the night and you'll find you can get the water intake that you need. Tip number 3 is listen to your body. Now, there is so much nutritional advice out there. I think this is probably the best piece of advice I can give for nutrition. When you eat a certain food, pay attention to how you feel afterwards. If you feel lethargic, lazy and tired after eating greasy foods, that's probably because they're not suiting your body, they're not good for you. That's why unhealthy food makes you feel like that. Try to have foods that make you feel good after you've eaten them. Many of us kind of have food and we feel bad afterwards and we don't really make the connection between what we've had and how we feel. So it's a good idea to kind of pay attention to what your body is telling you because it's usually right. Tip number 4 is about sleep. Sleep is so important, especially for students. In your sleep, that's when you're consolidating memories. That's when your brain is making connections. That's when you're basically making those memories that are going to help you to answer the questions in your exam. I see so many students pull all-nighters for their exams thinking that, oh, this is the best way to go about it. It's not. Make sure you get your sleep, especially in Ramadan. When you're staying up until sunrise, you're losing out on a few hours of sleep, I understand, but make sure you're trying to get them somewhere else in the day. Think about how many hours a day you would sleep before Ramadan and try to get the same amount of hours during Ramadan. It doesn't have to be in one block. So if you're used to sleeping 8 hours at once, you can split that up into 5 and 3, and you can find a way that works for you. I personally sleep for around 6, 7 or 8 hours straight after Fajr, sunrise, and then I work from Zuhr up until Asr, which is basically 1 o'clock till 6 o'clock, and then after 6 I take a nap. And it's that nap that completes my sleep, and that's enough sleep for me throughout the day. I don't sleep throughout the night up until sunrise, I just stay up because it's easier. So yeah, make sure you're getting enough sleep. It's really going to help you in your exam preparation, in your memory consolidation, and so many other things. Like, sleep is so beneficial for your health, it's a no-brainer. Tip number 5 is a follow-on from tip number 4. So basically, when you are sleeping, make sure you're getting good quality sleep. Make sure the conditions are ideal for sleep, right? You want to have a room that's quiet. You want to make sure there's little light. If you are sleeping during the day, you might want to get an eye mask like mine. I've been using this for about 3 years now. It's really good. Basically, it blocks out all of the light. So if it's 6 p.m. and there's broad daylight coming in from your curtains, you can just put this on and you have low light conditions as if it's the night. And I sleep much better with this. I'm not too sure if it'll work for you, but you can always try it out. Tip number 6 is about your study routine. Now, you need to adjust your routine, that goes without saying, because your whole day is adjusted with Ramadan. Now, think about what kind of person you are. Do you prefer to work in the morning? Do you prefer working at night? Because whichever one you do makes a big difference on how your routine should be. I prefer working in the day, so I do my work from 12 till 6 o'clock in the day. After that, I just relax. After 6, I take a nap, I go and prepare food, I have iftar, and then over the night period, I exercise and I do other things, and I don't really work then. So find what works for you. If you prefer working at night, then, maybe you want to use the day to get some extra sleep, prepare the food, and then at night, as soon as you've had your iftar, you can sit down and you can work. And it's actually better for you to work at night, I think, because, you've got food and water that you can have, whereas in the day, you don't have that. So find a routine that works for you specifically. I would basically experiment with a few things. If you have a look in the description below, I've linked a Notion page, and on that Notion page, I've just written out a few routines that you can have during Ramadan. There's an early bird one for people who like working in the day, there's a night owl one for people who prefer working at night, and you can just adjust them here and there for your own preferences. Tip number 7 is again about studying, and it's to take regular breaks. You're not just studying, you're also fasting, so you need to make sure that you're giving your body adequate rest in between study periods. Your body's going to struggle to be working for hours at a time unless you're like some superhuman who actually can manage that, then by all means go for it. But otherwise, take breaks. There's something called the Pomodoro technique, so this is where you do 25 minutes of work followed by a 5-minute break, and you repeat that cycle over and over again. That's a good way to go about it because you're getting regular breaks. I prefer doing a 90-20 kind of thing, so I do 90 minutes of work followed by 20 minutes of deep rest. I actually nap for 20 minutes after each 90-minute session if I find it works for me, but find what works for you and test a few things out. Hopefully one of them helps. Tip number 8 is resting your eyes. Now, this only applies to people who are using laptop screens or tablets or basically any screen. If you're looking at a screen, your eyes are focused on the same distance for a long period of time, and it can be quite straining for your eyes to do that. So what you should do is something called the 20-20-20 rule. This is basically where every 20 minutes you take a 20-second break and you look at something 20 feet in the distance. So you go to your window and you just look for a tree or a building or a person or a car, and just for 20 seconds, just look around. That's basically stretching the muscles in your eyes. It's like when you're sitting at your desk for hours at a time and then you get up and you go for a walk and you stretch your legs. It's the exact same thing, but for your eyes. So take care of them. This will kind of reduce the strain if you're working for long periods of time, especially if you're a medic. I imagine you probably are. So try that rule and hopefully it helps. My final tip is don't work between Asr and Iftar. Basically, Asr is around 6 o'clock, Iftar is around 8:20, 8:30 these days. That period is the last part of the day where you're fasting. Now, it goes without saying you're going to be hungry in that period. It doesn't matter how much you ate at suhoor, that's the time of day where hunger hits the most. That's where you can smell the food from the kitchen, and it's not a good idea to try and study in that period because your head's all over the place. You're going to just burn yourself out by doing that. So please make sure you get rest in that period and use the other times of the day to kind of do your studying and do the other things. But yeah, that summarizes all of my tips for Ramadan. This is just a quick video that I thought I would do. I wanted to upload it really quickly, seeing as though we're already in Ramadan. So I apologize if anything's unclear. Please drop a comment or message me. And yeah, if you made it this far, please drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you in the next one. My throat is really dry and my voice is going to break now. It's starting to break. I'm just gonna have to carry on recording. I can't even drink water to fix this. It's quite funny. Ah, my arm. That was painful. That was really painful. I'm recording this at like just after Asr and I'm starting to get hungry. My throat is like begging for water. Come on. Let's just get this video done.